So welcome to the CCSQ Data and Analytics Q1 2026 Town Hall. So this is our official first one of the year, so welcome everyone. Just a quick background on the Town Hall, if this is one of the first events you're joining. The CCSQ Data and Analytics Town Hall is now held quarterly and is designed to provide our user community with system updates, general announcements, and training demonstrations. And then we will just go over a couple of administrative announcements as well before I pass things over to our presenters. So a reminder to stay muted during the call to minimize interruptions. And then if you did note on the previous screen, this call is being recorded. You should have gotten the notification when you first started and joined, but just wanted to put that out there one more time. And then after each presentation, this is a little bit different if you've ever joined any of our previous town hall events. We're going to have a brief Q&A after each event today because we have shorter presentations. That Q&A makes a little more sense to go directly after the presenter wraps up. So please post questions in the Teams chat for our presenters to address at the end of their session. All meeting materials will be made available in the CCSQ D&A portal after the event. Just give us a little bit of time to get everything 508 and compliant before we get that updated for everyone. And then with that, we will go ahead and turn things over to our agenda now, and then I'll pass it over to our presenters. So first, we have SAS Viya decommissioning migration success with Justina. Then we have the CDR data catalog. Next, we're going to move to direct access to expanded CMS CCW data available in the CDR. Then we're going to have portal self-service spotlight, token visibility, and data sharing. Next, we'll have introducing the new DAR form. Then we'll have D&A training types and formats. And then finally, we're going to close things out today with co-common improvements and job best practices. And so with that, I will go ahead and pass things over to Justina for our first presentation.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Julia. It's been a while since we have talked about SAS Viya, and I think it's a perfect time to acknowledge all of our hard efforts and all of our initiatives that we have undergone over the past couple of years. So big thank you to every single person who has gone through the SAS Viya to Databricks migration. Our community has played a pivotal role in that success. Not only you have converted the SAS workflows, you have also validated the outputs to ensure that the continuity for analytic purposes would be there. You have identified issues and you have provided actionable feedback to the community and to your peers and to us. You have supported your peers. You have collaborated with us. Your collaboration and dedication made this transition a success. It was so successful that it is now being modeled throughout CMS. So congratulations to you all, and thank you from the bottom of my heart. Next slide, please. What we have been talking about and spreading the word about across CMS is that you, our users, our community, have played that pivotal role in this transition. So if you go to the next, okay. Sorry, I have glitches on my screen. We were able to share with everyone that the modern technology, the scalable systems, and the ability to implement variety on the analytic platform have been a success overall from the cost perspective, from the speed perspective, from savings on resources perspective. We have proven that faster performance and reliability were the end result of all of the hard work over the past couple of years. The community has voiced and shared with us appreciation on the expanded capabilities, the ability to advance their analytics and implement, and the ability to implement a stronger foundation for any future innovations. So we are definitely in a better position to move forward and to have the ability to comply and support any future CMS's initiatives that are done agency-wide. So we do have more to come. We will be spreading the word with you in near future as to what the closest initiatives are. And we'll welcome your feedback on an ongoing basis. We always want to hear from you. We always want to converse with you and learn from you about any and all of your experiences, any and all of the needs you may have, and how you see us move forward together to have a better outcome and product. So again, thank you all so much. And if there are questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. If not, I'll be more than happy to pass it over to Julia. Again, thank you very much.
I was on mute. I'm not seeing any questions right now in the chat. I was just keeping an eye on that to make sure. We can give it just one more second to see if any roll through before we move over to our next presentation. Okay, I think we are okay to go ahead and move on. So next I'll be passing things over to Julie with our presentation on the CDR data catalog.
Hello, I am Julie Alvarez, the product owner for the Data Lakers team that's responsible for the new CDR data catalog. If you go to the next slide. Today, I will be going over some recent enhancements that have come out for the data catalog since we had introduced the new platform back in October, sorry. Going over improvements coming soon, and then talk about the survey that is currently active. Next slide. So since we introduced the new data catalog, we have introduced two more enhancements. One was in November, and that is we are displaying the EPI code for a given schema or table as a tag on the data catalog so that users can see what EPI code is there for access to a given schema or table or any data assets, and then they can talk to their DUA owner and make sure that's added to their DUA. They can also search based on that EPI code tag using the tags filter in the search and data catalog. The second enhancement was the domain-based classification system that we introduced in January. So we mapped all of our schemas in the data catalog to a domain based on guidance from the CMS data taxonomy. And again, like with the tags, users can search for schemas based on domains. There's a domains filter now in the data catalog. And next slide. We do have two releases coming up in the next month. We have one this Friday that will be enhancing the current sync between the Uni catalog to data catalog of metadata. Right now, it currently runs on a nightly basis, about 9 p.m. Eastern time, so that any changes that you make during the day, you'll see when you come back in the next day. This new feature that's coming out on Friday will improve that by running an event basis. So if you change something in the Uni catalog, it will queue up ingestion to run based on that update event. So you should see your changes over in data catalog within about 2 hours, depending on the size or volume of that ingestion. The second enhancement, it's really just an upgrade of the Data Hub platform that is the underlying platform for Data Catalog. It's being upgraded to the more recent version of 1.3.0.1, and that will occur around April 17th. No action is required from the users of Data Catalog, and nothing new in terms of major improvements or new features or workflow changes. The only difference you might see would be minor interface changes around the home page. Everything is still there, just looks and feels a little bit different. And then this upgraded version, the real meat of that includes security updates and some minor bug fixes and interface changes that we have identified since we released it. You will receive announcements for each of those features when they do come out. Next slide. Finally, we do have a data catalog survey that was introduced probably a few weeks ago in the data analytics Slack channel. We also had an email sent out with a link to the survey yesterday. So what we want to do is get some more feedback. Thank you to those of you who have responded to that survey. This feedback is very valuable to ensure that we are on the right track when we set up our enhancement and improvement roadmap, and so that we can identify any pain points or areas that further training is required. So I believe the link to the survey is in the chat or going into the chat. Please take some time and complete that survey and let us know your opinion and any pain points and anything that you would like to see in the near future. That's all from me. Are there any questions?
I'm not seeing any questions in the chat, Julie, but I agree. Let's just go ahead and give that one more minute for people to go ahead and click that link, get that open in their browser so they have that saved for later. Just again, that feedback is really valuable. It helps us improve things on our end and make sure that we're continuing to take your feedback into consideration. It's short, it's quick.
Yes, it's only 7 questions, and we really do want to know what you think.
Okay. So with that, I think we're okay to go ahead and move to our next slide, which I believe, is Alex's presentation. So thank you again, Julie. Oh, we just got a question rolling in, Julie, if you can just hang tight for one sec. Is there an option to download the data dictionaries in the data catalog?
Currently, there is not an option. That is something that we're looking into for a possible future enhancement to the data catalog.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions before I move things over to Alex? Okay. All right. So with that, I will pass it to Alex for direct access to expanded CMS CCW data available in the CDR.
Thanks, Julia. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Clark, and I'm a product owner on the CCSQ Data and Analytics team. And today I'll be sharing some recent updates on data in the CDR. You can jump to the next slide. So we're excited to share with you all that we have expanded access to the CCW datasets directly within the CDR, which makes it easier to find, explore, and use these datasets in one place. So the first one that's now enhanced is we have updated MBSF data, which is the master beneficiary summary file that contains beneficiary demographics from Medicare enrollment details across parts A through D from 2017 to 2025. We also have the HICN crosswalk data, which links legacy Medicare IDs to state-specific identifiers to support Medicare and Medicaid data matching. And then finally, we have the MBI crosswalk data, which links current Medicare IDs to other identifier systems to support longitudinal tracking across data sets. So all of these data sets are now accessible directly within the CDR Databricks environment. They each have their own schema, and I will cover on the next slide how you can access those schemas. So in order to access the CCW data that we just covered on the previous slide, you do need to make sure that your DUA includes the required approved EPI codes. So on the screen here, you'll see each of the EPI codes required for the specific schemas. So you should work with your core or your DUA owner to add the appropriate EPI codes to your organization's DUA and make sure that that gets uploaded to the CCSQ portal. Once that approved DUA has been uploaded, access will be automatically provided to these CCW schemas. And if your DUA already contains any one of these codes that are mentioned here, then you should already have access to the data sets within Databricks. If you're not seeing them or not finding them, make sure that you are checking under the CCW CDR catalog, and you can find that by looking for within the Catalog Explorer in Databricks under the Delta Shares Received header. So that note there at the bottom of the slide kind of gives direction on how to find those schemas within Databricks. And then on the next slide, I just have one quick reminder about general data operations within the CDR. So a data deprecation reminder here. So just as a reminder, we regularly are evaluating schemas in the CDR that may be decommissioned, no longer updated, no longer in use. And schemas that meet these criteria are removed from Databricks CDR prod catalog to make sure that users are working with up-to-date data. So we do typically release articles when we make these changes or drop these schemas. So please refer to the news and event section of the CCSQ portal for announcements and more information about that deprecated data. And we also make sure to point users towards where to find the new data if there is new data for a schema that we are dropping. Maybe it exists in another schema in other tables. And so all that information is typically included within those announcements. And on the screen here is a list of schemas that we've recently dropped from Databricks over the last couple of months. Again, there are articles posted about these. So if you have any questions, please refer to those. Please don't hesitate to find me on Slack and reach out. Happy to answer any questions that folks might have. And that is all for me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Alex. Any questions for Alex before we move on? Okay, we just got one. Is there a way to create our own data catalog for the tables we are creating and saving on CDR? Is there any guidance regarding this on the portal?
This might be a question for Julie, but I can take a stab at it. So within Databricks, you can, within Unity Catalog, if you are the owner of the schema or the table, you should be able to add comments. It's a comment feature within Databricks that you can add descriptions directly on tables and columns within Databricks. And then that information is fed into the data catalog tool that Julie covered. So hopefully that answers the question. I don't know if there's an article. I think there is an article. I'll have to try to find the link. It's probably a bit older now, probably back from October or so when we launched the tool. But there should be an article about how to add comments to assets in Databricks.
All right, thanks, Alex. Any other questions before we move on? So we had a follow-up, correct? We do add descriptions, but that disappears when the table is updated. So looking for more ways to make it clear.
You might want to reach out. We can help you with more focused help on this. I'm pretty sure just off the top of my head, anytime schemas or tables are dropped or recreated, those descriptions are dropped. So there might be a way to include in your processing of the data to include those descriptions in there so that when the data is recreated, those descriptions are automatically included. But if you reach out in the either through a help desk ticket or through the SOS channel, we can provide more focused guidance and help on how to make sure that those descriptions don't get dropped. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Any other questions before we move on? Okay, I think we're okay to move to our next presentation. Thank you again, Alex. So next we're going to be passing these over to Harlan for portal, self-service, spotlight, token visibility, and data sharing.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Harlan Brooks. I'm a product manager, also with the CCSQ Data and Analytics team. Next slide, please. The CCSQ Data and Analytics portal provides our user community a comprehensive web platform that serves as the central hub for the CMS ecosystem. Today, I'll be covering features allowing users to retrieve their organization's Databricks tokens and to add and or remove data sharing policies for their organization. Both of these operations are available once a user logs into the portal. And once a user logs into the portal, the green D&A portal menu item is visible. Within this menu, you select self-service, and then you click the token retrieval button there to be taken to the Databricks token page. Next slide, please. A Databricks token has a 90-day lifespan. It will auto-renew when it expires. In this area, users can view Databricks tokens for all the organizations they belong to. Specifically, the users can see when the tokens will expire and grab the new auto-renewed token to apply to their workspace APIs. And to help the user know when tokens are expiring and when they have been renewed, there are icons that indicate when a token is about to expire, as well as recently renewed tokens. Next slide. From the same self-service page, when you click the data sharing policies link, you'll be taken to the data sharing policies page. Next slide, please. In this area, a user is able to create data sharing policies for their organizations. The user is also allowed to deactivate access to the data sharing policy they created. There is a data sharing wizard that guides the user through creating and managing their data sharing policies. The data sharing policies guide, where the link is here on the page, that shows the users how to add and remove data sharing policies. Any questions around these two features? Thank you.
Thanks, Harlan. We can just give it one more second before we officially turn things over to our next presenter. Just make sure there's no questions coming through. I'm not seeing any. But just a note, Rachel did share in the chat all of those links, and she has been sharing. If you haven't checked out our chat, all of the links we've needed for our presentation. So if you want to refer back to any of those or check things out, they're there. Okay, so I think we're okay at this point to go ahead and move to our next presentation. Thank you so much, Harlan. So now we are going to be passing things over to Q for introducing the new DAR form.
All right, and thank you, Julia. All right, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Q, and I'm the operations manager for the CCSQ D&A team. And today I'm going to be introducing the new DAR form. All right, can you go ahead and go to the next slide, please? Thank you. All right, so I'm going to start with what's changed and why it matters. We've introduced clearly defined categories to guide submissions from the start. This ensures that requests are routed correctly and assigned to the right teams without delay. We've also expanded the form to capture key information up front. This reduces back and forth and helps us avoid delays caused by incomplete or unclear submissions. And one of our biggest improvements is that users no longer need a JIRA license to track requests. So everyone will now receive automated email updates for submissions, status changes, and comments in real time. Overall, this is about creating a more efficient, transparent, and user-friendly process. Next slide, please. All right, and so now what does this actually mean for you as users of the process? Because we're getting better information up front and routing correctly the first time around, you don't or you won't be missing details as often. So everything we need is captured at intake. That means that that also means that you don't need any additional tools or licenses to stay informed, and you'll have full transparency into the status of your request through email updates. I've included the links to both the new DAR form and the DAR guide for you guys to reference. And Julia, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quickly. I am going to. All right. All right. Can you guys see my screen? All right. So this is the new DAR form. Okay. Thank you. This is the new DAR form. I'm not going to really go into this form in detail, but I do want to show this form so that you can see exactly what we're doing here. You're going to notice on this form, we do have a lot of just tooltips to provide additional information on what the request is actually asking for throughout this form. And again, we've moved more towards a categorization. So we are asking up front for you to categorize the type of request that you're submitting. If you are unsure, you can always select other, but this just allows us to ask better questions up front. You will also notice that depending on which category you select, the questions are streamlined to collect better data for that specific category. We do ask that you guys take the time to fill out the information on this page as best as possible. We are aware that you may not know everything that you need, but as much information as you can provide is greatly helpful and appreciated. And Julia, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to you.
Sounds good. It's actually Laura sharing. We had a bit of a snafu earlier with my screen share, so thank you.
Not a problem. Thank you. And I don't know if there are any questions, but.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye out. I saw one comment, business requirements and business justification have the same tooltip info. But that's the only thing that's come through so far.
Okay.
We'll just give it one more second before we move over to our next presentation. Okay, I think we're okay to go ahead and move on. Thank you again to Q. Also, side note, I like the red glasses. Okay, so next we're going to be passing things over to Vikram for D&A training types and formats.
Thank you, Julia. My name is Vikram Darwal. I am a product owner also on the CCSQ Data and Analytics team. And today I'd like to go through the various training types and formats that we currently offer. They have some changes from the past, and I've been asked questions, how does one type of training differ or overlap with another type of training? And I myself also had those questions, so I thought it'd be a good idea to clarify for everybody. Next slide, please. So quick overview, our training program provides multiple learning formats designed to help the user community, whether it be improving efficiency and best practices in Databricks, addressing common challenges, code issues, providing some focused support wherever we see needed, and then encouraging continuous learning through that engagement. Next slide. And so originally, the support was focused on the migration from SAS Viya to Databricks. Our continued support is aiming to, again, provide those best practices, efficient development patterns, community-driven learning through topic suggestions, which I'll mention a little later here in this presentation, focus improvement opportunities by identifying common patterns in org usage to guide future training. Again, so each training format is designed to serve a different learning need, however, collectively supporting that broader goal of improving the productivity and platform usage across the community. Next slide, please. So this is a high-level view of the various training types we offer. So you can see here in the left column, we have lunch and learns, interactive sessions, code and support hour, which is a new format, which I'll go over, focus sessions, and then our new weekly challenge offering. Next slide. First one is going to be lunch and learn. If you have participated in one of our trainings, most likely you have seen a lunch and learn. It's the most common type that we offer. It's a 30 to 60-minute lecture style session delivered during that lunch hour, open to the entire user community, focuses on best practices, new features, efficient development patterns, and designed to provide high-value insights with minimal time commitment. Next one. The next one will be the interactive session. And so this was designed to be a hands-on lab portion following the lecture-based, whether it be lunch and learn or what we used to have was an office hour. This will be around 1 hour's workshop focused on applied learning, includes those labs, exercises, and real code examples, may accompany other training topics or run as standalone workshops, and helps users practice techniques and troubleshoot common issues. Next one. Code and support hour, as mentioned, this is new. Originally, we had something called office hours, which was being used as a longer lunch and learn, basically. So we wanted to get back to the true title of office hour. We've named it code and support hour. We will begin rolling these out probably mid-May to late May. For now, we are gathering topic suggestions, and we hope to run through that list once we have received a good amount of feedback, and then prioritize which will be the first few topics that we offer out to the community. This will be a specific group org type of session so that we're not sharing code across groups, and it will be offered as a first come, first serve sign up basis. Next slide, please. All right, focus session. These are going to be ad hoc Databricks optimization sessions for specific teams or user groups. This aims to improve efficiency and correct non-optimal practices. So not necessarily doing something wrong, there are just various ways to do things within Databricks, and we'd like to help navigate those and help you find the best possible solutions. Next one. And finally, this is our new weekly challenge offering. It is a meant to be short, self-paced activity available to our community. Right now, we are rolling this out to a limited group who have access to our Slack channel environment. And so once we get through this pilot, we will figure out a way to roll it out to the entire user community. The first one was published today, so if you do have access, please join that CCSQ D&A Weekly Challenges Slack group, and let's see, what types of submissions we get. We hope to learn patterns, see, roadblocks people may be having, and provide various trainings based on that. Also, we tried to make this a gamified experience, so there will be a leaderboard. And if you are into those bragging rights, please join. And yeah, let's do that. Next one, please. All right, so this is just a quick summary of what I went through. I like this just to kind of compare, and you can see that we have different durations, different format styles, different audiences, purposes, and how frequent we offer these. And I believe I have one more slide. All right, so as mentioned, for those code and support hours, we do want your topic suggestions. And so If you could provide those through the portal, there's a feedback button right there that's highlighted down there in the red outline. You just click on that. Once you click on feedback, you'll see a pop-up window. You can select other as the feedback type, and then you can just drop your topic suggestions in the open text box, and we will again filter through those, gather all those together, and start rolling those sessions out for you all. All right. I believe that's all I have. I would like to pass it back to Julia.
Thanks so much. And then any questions for Vikram before we move on? I'm not seeing any. And then just another reminder that Rachel is sharing those links that Vikram had mentioned in our chat. So, okay, so I think with that, we are okay to go ahead and move to our next presentation. Again, thank you so much. And next, Rachel, that question's for you, I believe. I'm not sure if you would be
I
able
can
to
do some
answer it.
troubleshooting.
Okay.
And I'll reply to the message in the chat if that works.
Yeah, thanks so much, Rachel.
Also, as mentioned, this may be limited to some folks, and so we're rolling this out as that pilot group who do have access to the Slack environment. I don't know if Jonathan is supposed to have access or not, but just heads up.
Yeah, Vikram, if you can ensure that Jonathan has access to it, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, so with that, I'm going to be passing things over to Tim for code comment improvements and jobs best practice.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. Hi, everyone. My name's Tim. I'm a member of the user services team. And before I get started on pretty much anything, we have a quick poll for you. I think Laura might be sending that out. 5 quick true and falses. I'll give you a minute for that.
Tim, let me know when I can close it.
Probably in like 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
Okay, I just closed it. Tim, you should see the results on your screen.
I do. Awesome. Okay, most of you are Databricks users. About half of you are comfortable creating Databricks jobs. Less than half of you say most of my production-ready code is executed as a Databricks job. And 3/4 of you did not know how many worker nodes are actually used for each of your tasks. That's okay. That is a weird thing to know, but I want to show you how to do it today too. And 2/3 of you know where to find training resources. Great. Okay. I'm glad we asked these because I want to talk about the answers to each of them in addition to talking about the topics we had on screen. So I'm going to share my screen. All right, I've lost my Teams window. Now here it is, okay. All right, so if you are unfamiliar with Code Commons, this is where you find all of our training material. So everything that we've ever done, lunch and learns, office hours, interactive sessions, they are all here under presentations. They're even separated by lecture style content, which is content that is just us talking without really any audience participation, and of course our interactive sessions, which are more like activities that we all walk through. We even have a bunch of things separated by content. So if you want to know more about CDR support, Databricks environment support, Spark support, and thank you, Rachel, for posting the link to the Code Commons. Beat me to it. So if you ever want to know anything, come to the Code Commons. We also have the learning paths here. So if you're new to our system, the learning paths are supposed to bring you from 0 to hero in either Python or R. We have 2 separate paths for them. So this is a great new user experience right here built into it. Okay, but that's not new. I want to talk about 1 or 2 quick new things that have been added to Code Commons. We are proud to announce by popular demand, we finally have search functionality. So if you go to search, you can type whatever you want. Maybe you want to know more about window functions, and you can click anything, and it will even bring you to where in one of our articles we talk about window functions, something like that. If you want to know the answer to that really weird question of, I know how many worker nodes are actually used for each of my tasks, that is a question you could use with the Spark UI. We have a few talks where we actually talk about the Spark UI, so you can search for that as well. All right, so very excited about search functionality. That has been asked for a long time. Next, I want to talk about a very tiny improvement for some of our more Databricks savvy users, and that is we finally have the ability to more easily search for these articles as notebooks. So you'll notice the URL up here. We have, this is what, logging strategies in Python and R. I just clicked one at random. Log strats Python R. In Databricks, everything we do, we also publish to CDR PSA community workspace, which everybody in Databricks should have access to. In here, we have our Code Commons notebooks, our presentations, our lecture sessions, and this content isn't new, but its organization is new. So now you can easily follow these file paths just as they exist in the dropdowns in the Code Commons, and you can see all of our talks here. I already forgot where it was like logging something, but it is here. Everything is here, and we're very excited for that as well. So again, back to the structure of Code Commons. Remember, this is the place where we put everything after they're presented, including our 3 most recent presentations that we've done. I think one of them has yet to be uploaded, but 2 of those 3 are here under presentations. And I'm sorry if you can hear some background noise. Our upstairs neighbor is moving and they're throwing stuff out the window. So maybe I can hear it and not you, but
it's okay on our end, Tim.
Cool. Like a whole space heater hit the pavement outside, and I'm like, what bad timing. Under lectures, our 3 most recent are 2 most recent, sorry, breaking large processes into tasks and debugging in Code Commons design. And this brings us to the second major topic that I'd like to talk about, which is our topic of writing cleaner, more efficient code. So the user services team has not so subtly been pushing all of our users to move things towards the direction of jobs and tasks within those jobs, which is why so many of those questions involved how much resources are you using? Do you know how to use jobs? Things like that. So we're continuing our efforts to push you towards using jobs rather than interactive notebooks for non-interactive code. So the idea is that once you have your interactive code set up, like you read in the data, you do all the analyses and you save it back out, it's to, instead of just running those notebooks top to bottom, to save them as a job that you can run just with a click of a button, and you can even automate it. So these efforts come from our experience in Help Desk, where we see a lot of users, and probably the most common thing we see from our users is they'll come to us with beautifully written code, but it's all in one cell. So it's like a 500-line cell, and that is really difficult for us to debug because, for any reasons, remember us in Help Desk, we can't actually run your code for you. For permissions and security issues, we don't have access to your cluster, we can't access your data, things like that. And that makes it really hard for us to sort of investigate and kind of like look over your shoulder to see exactly what's going wrong. So a lot of our efforts have been into helping you productionalize and involve a lot of best practices in your code by splitting it up into cells, running those cells with a lot of checks within them, and then modularizing those cells into a Databricks job. And we have seen a lot of success here. I very recently worked with a user in Databricks who had code that needed to be run interactively. He would hit Shift Enter over and over and over until every cell was run, and then there'd be issues. We worked together to get more modular code with more checks, instituted a little bit more defensive programming so you didn't have to error check it every time. We went through a lot of error handling processes to publish it as a job. And this user now has this job run at 6 a.m. every day. So it's a part of his job that he would have to do every day, and it was very annoying, and now it's done without him having to think about it. If this sounds like something that you want to do, then please come to the help desk, ask for help. This is what we're here for. We're building this content so that you can come and use it to build cleaner, more efficient, better production-ready code. And selfishly, it's also a lot cheaper on the back end. So a little bit of a disclosure there, but it's also helping you write better, faster, and more maintainable and automatable code. So with that, I am done. We'll see you in help desk. And I think we are ready for some Q&A. And I'll stop sharing my screen because I don't really need to say anything anymore.
Okay, so right now we have, if you save a notebook as a job, is there a way to update portions of the code, e.g. date variables, etc.?
Yes, great question. So the notebook itself isn't published as a job. In the job, you create tasks, and then the task points to a notebook. So when you run the task, it says, okay, run the notebook at this location. So when you edit that notebook and run the job again, it'll run your updated notebook.
You also utilize task parameters and job parameters
Yes.
as well, and using dynamic value references as well. I put a link into your response, Jonathan.
Cool, thank you.
All right, and I'll just give it a couple more. It looks like the only other question we have so far, Dan had got covered for us. Thanks, Dan. And then we'll just give it a couple more seconds to see if we have any other questions coming through. All right, I think we're okay to wrap things up. Thank you so much, Tim.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, thank you again to all of our presenters. Thank you to our user community and our participants for joining today. Just one more plug for before you leave, the data catalog survey. Rachel just shared it in the chat one more time, or if you joined late and didn't get a chance to grab that link, please grab that link now, fill out that survey. It is quick, only 7 questions. And again, that feedback really helps us on our end. So just a quick closing statement. Thank you again for joining us. Today's materials, the recording, slide content, and Q&A will be made available in the CCSQ D&A portal shortly. Just give us a little bit of time to get those things wrapped up and turned over to that space. And then, as always, if you have any questions or emails, any questions or issues, please feel free to email us or use the Slack channel to reach out and get a hold of us. So thank you so much. I'm not seeing anything else in the chat coming through. All right. Okay, everyone. Thank you. Have a great day. And we look forward to seeing you in between at all of the different user services offerings. And if not, for the Q2 Town Hall. Thank you, everyone.